Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. I'm back with the final installment of the Liber Astartes from Warhammer the Horus Heresy, focusing on each of the legions. I saved the best for last, the 19th, the greatest legion of all, the Raven Guard. I've been playing Raven Guard since 1997. They're one of my second edition 40k armies. I almost took them to the 97 Grand Tournament, and getting to paint them for the Weekender in Warhammer World was a ton of fun. So the goal here, obviously, teach you the ins and outs of what's up with the Raven Guard, legion-wise, rule-wise, in this Liber Astartes, and kind of overview and feature what kind of options they have and why you might want to play them. So obviously, they have some core special rules. Now, interestingly, compared to other legions, they actually get different special rules depending upon what type of unit they are. And that makes for some interesting sort of like gameplay options. Because what you take in your army then and what your force selection is, right, so war-wise, will dictate what your overall army special rule kind of like is focused on. And it's called Shadow and Fury. So depending on your unit type, you will have one of three different classifications. If you're an infantry Raven Guard, but don't have the heavy unit subtype or Warhawk jump packs, Corvid powder jump packs, or Tartarus Terminator armor, you gain the Talon special rule. So basically all your power armor guys. If a unit's composed entirely of models with the Talon special rule, then when targeted by shooting attacks, if they're outside 8 inches from the enemy, they gain Shrouded 6+. What? 6+ damage mitigation on everybody. That's a huge rule. Because it means you're shrugging wounds on 6s when you're outside of 8 without having to spend any reactions. Now, of course, the reaction evade gives you a 5+ shrug, but just getting it for free on everybody, on all your infantry, if you want to get in a shooting match, huge. In addition, we're not done though. All models of special rule gain the infiltrate special rule. So you're not deploying any of your infantry that's not heavy or in Terminator armor, or carrying a jump pack basically, until after your opponent's done deploying. So if you want to talk about sneaky, Raven Guard infantry are sneaky. Now, if you are a model composed of the Dreadnought unit type, or anyone who is both infantry and heavy, or anyone who has a Legion Warhawk jump pack or Tartarus Terminator armor, then you are a Falcon. So power armor, Talons, Falcons, all the Terminators and jump packs. And Dreads. Any model with a special rule can reroll failed to wound rolls of 1 in any assault phase in which they made a successful charge, even if that charge is disordered. So you are a fighter extraordinaire. Now, if you're spamming lots of shred weapons, so things like chain bayonets, chain swords, or of course the sort of Epimonious lightning claws that the Raven Guard have. That's not a huge deal, but for that Dreadnought Power Fist, being able to reroll 1s to wound when you're winning on 2s can be a huge deal, and there's no avoiding it, even if you're disordered. And then finally, if you have the Cavalry unit type or Flyer subtype, you gain Hawks. Any model with a special rule gains Shrouded 6+ on any turn in which they run, move, flat out, or make a zooming flyer move. With this benefit lasting until the controlling player's next turn. Or if the model already has Shrouded, they gain 6+, they gain Shrouded 5+ instead, for no additional cost. So, yeah, this is cool. I really enjoy the fact that the infantry can just infiltrate. That's going to be really frustrating for your opponent, because you're just going to put unless they also have infiltrators, most of your stuff is just going to sit wherever you want it, either outside of 12 or outside of 9 out of line of sight. And that is a big deal. You are sneaky Raven Guard. And then you get your advanced reaction like anyone else does. You can fade to black. It's kind of like painting it black, but there's no red door. So this advanced reaction may be made once per battle during the opposing player's shooting phase when an enemy player declares a shooting attack against a friendly reactive player's Raven Guard unit. Before resolving the shooting attack, the unit targeted by it may make an immediate move a number of inches equal to their highest unmodified initiative, and gain the Shrouded 4+ special rule for the duration of the remainder of the turn. Not just the shooting attack, the entire turn they're now Shrouded 4+. If the shooting attack is no longer valid, then the active player may not select a different target, and no attacks are made or dice rolled for that unit. So, like a character of 1 could just go behind a wall and be out of line of fire. Or you can get outside of melter range with something. There's all kinds of benefits there, and Shrouded 4+ is huge. So once per game, you can basically save somebody by pushing back or pushing aside or pushing into cover, and then gaining the Shrouded rule, which is very cool. It's very Raven Guard-y to go and hide. All right, 3 different possible Warlord traits. There's Traitor one. There's a lot of sort of like angst in the Raven Guard. especially after, of course, Isfahan 5, although the one sort of like absolutely confirmed survivor of Isfahan is Corax. Bro leads thousands of his men off the planet after like a 98-day guerrilla war fight against the people trying to massacre them after the Drop Zone massacre. So although his legion is decimated, he's the one that gets away because he's, of course, I mean, if you're thinking of between the three of them, between Ferrus Manus, Vulcan, and Corax is the slippery one. The rest of them are not quite so slippery. And he damn near kills Lorgar. What a different world it would have been if he'd killed Lorgar and Curse hadn't come and saved him. Anyway, spoilers done. The Bane of Tyrants is your loyalist one. I love this one. So the Raven Guard are basically known for freeing people from oppression. They're a bit salamandery in that way, although they're a little more grim in their responsibility for doing it. They'll use some tactics that are kind of more Night Lords. If there was someone in between the Night Lords and the Salamanders, it'd be the Raven Guard. They'll use unethical methods to complete ethical goals. This Warlord increases his attacks and strength characteristic by +1 when engaged in a challenge, and by +2 when challenging the enemy Warlord. In addition, any army whose Warlord has this trait gains an additional reaction in the assault phase as long as they're alive. So, yeah, +1 attacks and strengths when you're fighting a character, because you just make an example out of the enemy leadership. But if it's the Warlord, it's +2. That's pretty cool. The Hidden Hand is the universal one. While the Warlord with this trait's in reserve, the controlling player may reroll all filled reserve rolls. And when deployed in the battlefield, the Warlord and all models in any unit he's joined gain the Fleet 2 special rule. In addition, any Warlord with this trait may make an additional reaction in the opposing player's movement phase, as long as they're alive. Then, I do like that the traitors for the Raven Guard, they don't join Horus. They just are completely disillusioned with the Imperial truth, and they become space pirates. So I'm kind of okay with there being Raven Guard space pirates, because they don't actually join the traitors, they just go off. And the name of their Warlord trait also makes me happy. It's no gods or masters, no gods or kings, only Marines. So you can only take a superior traitor allegiance when in base-to-base contact with an enemy infantry or cavalry model whose weapon skill, strength, or initiative is higher than the Warlord's. A Warlord with this trait increases their weapon skills, strength, and/or initiative to match those of the enemy model with the highest value in that characteristic that's in base contact with. In addition, an army whose Warlord has this trait may, once per battle, make a single reaction without spending a point of the controlling player's reaction allotment, as long as the reaction is made by the Warlord or a unit the Warlord has joined. So, lots of cool options there, but basically you don't take any guff from people bigger than you. You're gonna fight bullies, even if you're not quite as tough as they are. Then you've got 2 rights of war. So the first one is Decapitation Strike. This is your assassinate the enemy leadership, sort of like right of war. All models with the Astartes Raven Guard special rule and an attachment using this right of war gain the preferred enemy independent character special rule. So you're good at killing characters. And all models in a unit from an attachment using this right of war assigned to a deep strike assault or flanking assault gain shrouded 5+ during the game turn in which they arrive. And missions that use victory points, an army that includes an attachment using this right of war gains an additional 2 victory points for the Slay the Warlord's secondary objective. So basically you're gonna hunt down characters. And then an attachment using this right of war may only take a single heavy support choice, and an attachment using this right of war may not take fortification choices, because you're basically a mobile reserve. This is one of my favorite examples. There's actually in the book Corax, there's a moment where they're assaulting like this traitor-held world, and they cause like a distraction to one side of the planet, and then the Mordathan squads and the Dark Fury squads just drop behind enemy lines and kill everybody in command of the Legion. They kill all the independent characters, and it's actually like, this is a very like lore-specific type of rights of war, and very appropriate for the Raven Guard. And then Liberation Force. I love this one, but I can't actually make it yet. I want to do this for my Raven Guard so badly, but because it's going to be dictated by, you have to take something, there's a limitation, and something that's not out yet, unfortunately. But once per battle, at the start of any game turn, the controlling player may choose to have all the models of the Legion of Astartes Raven Guard special rule and an attachment using this right of war gain the Stubborn special rule for the duration of the game turn, so you can be stubborn for 1 turn. And all models from an allied detachment that's part of this war gain the Stubborn special rule all the time. So you have these like really super loyal allies that will always be stubborn, and once per battle you can be stubborn with them. And all models in the unit composed entirely of models with the Raven Guard special rule gain the Hatred Everything special rule as long as they're within 6 of a model from the allied detachment in the same army. So you're defending your allies basically. They become stubborn because they're so inspired by you, and once per game you can be stubborn too, and you hate everything that comes near them. Limitations though, Detachments spread of war may not include any models with the slow, heavy artillery, bombard, or automated artillery subtypes. So no taking like big, heavy, murdery stuff because you're Raven Guard. You can only be loyalist. Right of war may only be taken as a primary detachment, and an army whose primary detachments using this right of war must include an allied detachment of Solar Auxiliary or Imperialis militia army lists. And it has to include at least 4 units. So you have to have the people you're coming to free. That's so cool and so Raven Guard to basically show up to like bolster this like last forlorn hope of like militia or Imperial Army guys. I cannot wait for those miniatures to come out and those rules to come out so I can build this army, because the Liberation Force is like, I don't know, I like playing the good guys. I like the fact that the Raven Guard are like these freedom fighters. It makes me happy. And that they punish Horus basically on his way to Terra by freeing all these worlds in like the backfield. And they just go around basically adding new armies to the Imperial like alliance. What they do doesn't necessarily change the Siege of Terra, but it slows down Horus from getting there, and it means that afterwards the Imperium's in a better shape to recover than it would have been if it had all still been in enemy hands. All right, Armory of the Raven Guard. Raven Talons. Anybody who's got Lightning Claws can take these for 5 points each, and you get +2 attacks instead of +1 if you have a pair. They're user strength AP3 power weapons that are melee, shred, rending 5+, and specialist. So shred and rending 5+ go together like, oh man, like peanut butter and chocolate. That's gonna be great. Lots of AP2 coming from that rending, and it does mean they got a hope in hell against vehicles too at strength 4. You can buy an Infervisor for 10 points if you're a character. You can gain a night vision special rule and +1 BS. But you count as initiative 1 if someone is blinding you, because you're like, the goggles! They let extra light in. And then Chameleon Line, a Praetor or Centurion with the Raven Guard special rule can be given Chameleon Line for 20 points. You gain Shroud 6+ and improve any other Shrouded from like 1 step. So if you like evade with them, they'd go to Shrouding 4+. A model with the Mortificator or Praevian console upgrade can't take Chameleon Line. And then a Corvid Pattern jump pack. You can exchange your Warhawk jump packs for these if you're an independent character. And it's 10 points to do so. And so, again, just your independent characters can do this. Starting your control player's movement phase, you can set your move to 14, but you can't difficult terrain as dangerous, but get a 4+ invulnerable save against it. You can still run, and then you become Bulky 3, Hammer Wrath 1, and Deep Strike. During a reaction made by any phase, a player may not choose to activate a model's Corvid Pattern jump back to gain any bonus in their movement characteristic. So basically, you don't get any bonuses to your movement. But the 4+ invul against difficult terrain landing is nice. All right, here's the Primarch Corvus Corax, 440 points, Chooser of the Slain, the Shadowed Lord. He's not the toughest, but he is one of the fastest. So he's movement 8, weapon skill 7, everything 6 across the board except for his initiative, which is 7, and attacks, which is 7, 2+ save. He's got the Sable Armor, it's a 2+, 4+, but Shrouded 4+, and if he had a better gun, he'd be amazing. Unfortunately, they don't give you the version of him they used to have, where you could take him as the on-the-run Guerrilla Fighter version that's on Isfahan 5 still, which basically takes away his wings but gives him a heavy bolter, probably because there's no miniature for it. They did give you the profile for Jagatai Khan to have his bike, though. So I feel like, just give us the Guerrilla Fighter Corax. He's so good. But Shrouded 4+ on a Primarch, because he still has it will not die 5+ too. Being able to wound mitigate with 6 wounds and a 2+, 4+ is pretty great. He is Panoply of the Raven Lord for his close combat weapons. It's basically he has 2 fighting styles. At the beginning of the turn, he can pick a special rule to apply to what fighting style he's doing. So you can either have a Murderous Strike 4+, Rage 4, so +4 attacks in the charge, he's 11 attacks, or Sudden Strike 3. So he's AP2 with just his base strength of 6, but he's melee, shred, so the strength 6 doesn't matter that much, blind, fighting style, and two-handed. So blind is pretty amazing because it'll reduce weapon skills to 1, and then shred, meaning that he's got that sweet reroll to wound. He has the Corvidine Pinions, which are his jump pack. They're basically the same as the whatchamacallit jump pack. They make him movement 14, and he can automatically pass any difficult terrain test he's supposed to make. He can still run on a turn when they're activated. When making a run move after having activated the Corvidine Pinions, add his initiative character to 14 to determine how far he moves. So he's going to go 21 inches when he runs. But he can't charge or make a shooting attack afterwards. It doesn't give him any bonus to a reaction, but he can still move 7 inches during a reaction. And he's got Wrath and Justice as his pistols. They're basically a pair weapon that is Strength 6, AP 4, Pistol 1, Rending 3+, Deflagrate, and Master Crafted. So he rolls to hit. Which, not that he cares, because he's supposed to skill 6. And then he's got Master Legion, Hit and Run, so you can fall back out of combat, which is pretty rad. The Shadowed Lord, if you use this hit and run, you get to roll an additional d6 to see how far you move and choose which ones you want to use. You can reroll all failed shrouding rolls of 1 in a turn in which you made a hit and run move. So basically, after you hit and run, you get a Shrouded 4+ reroll 1s. So you just always want to be out of combat at the end of the turn. And there's a Loyalist and Sire of the Raven Guard. All models of Legion of Astartes Raven Guard special role that are either infantry or cavalry in the same army gain Scout and Crusader. So extra dice when you follow up. In addition, you get additional reaction in the movement phase if you aren't removed as a casualty. So pretty great, I gotta say. He's fast and shooty. He's one of the versatile Primarchs. He'll fight well in melee. He doesn't shoot very well. I mean, he's just got a pistol, 12-inch range. But you can get him wherever he wants to be. And hit and run means it's almost impossible to stick him in combat. So he's going to be able to pick his charges later on wherever he wants. Shrouded 4+ will keep him alive probably longer than most. It's not quite as good as It Will Not Die or a 3+ invulnerable save. But being able to shrug off wounds afterwards, it's basically giving him a 4+ invulnerable save with a 4+ save afterwards. Unless he gets hit by brutal weapons, it's pretty rad. It's only against shooting, obviously, but still. Getting his wounds back later on means he'll probably stay in the fight pretty long and be able to get away to fight the ones he wants to do. He's more of a bully Primarch where he's going to probably fight lesser units and not go into like a challenge with another Primarch. And even if he does get challenged by a Primarch, he can just back off and go fight somebody else later. So yeah, I do want to put him against Lorgar at some point to see who would have actually won that fight on Isfahan 5. All right, special units. We got 2 of them in this army. Unfortunately, no special characters either. No Bran. I was really hoping we'd get Commander Bran or somebody, one of the old Terrans who's still fighting there. But we do have the Mordathan. The Mordathan are basically the ones who are genetically as close to Corax as possible. They kind of share his Shrouded thing. They have Bliss Skill 5, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, sort of like a souped-up veteran squad. Get 5 of them for 150 points. They get Chainswords, Astartes shotguns, frag and crack grenades, and shroud bombs. And they have Scout and Fatal Strike. Fatal Strike is once per battle. A unit that includes any models of the special rule. You can use it at the start of a shooting phase. They get Rending 4+, in addition to any other effects their gun might have. And this does not replace or improve any other versions of Rending. But it may not be used when you're attacking with templates or blasts. So no blast template Rending, which would be pretty amazing. They can take a Rhino or a Storm Eagle as a transport. And you can still give them power weapons or charnable weapons and replace their chainswords, and then Nemesis bolters, magnet combi weapons, and minor combi weapons for their Astartes shotguns. Every 3 models, you can take a cool extra weapon too. You can also take a missile launcher with frag and crack grenades, but weirdly, it doesn't get suspensors. I thought it would. And then, of course, your leader can take Artificer armor as well. So cool, Fatal Strike, give Rending to your guns guy once per turn or once per game. And then the Dark Fury Squad, these are your, raveniest of ravens. They've got, of course, 2 Raven Talons, Corvid Pattern Jump Packs, Artificer Armors for the character, and then Power Armor for everybody else. They're Weapon Skill 4, 2 wounds each, 2 attacks each, Leadership 8, kind of like a Veteran Assault Squad. And you can take additional ones for 25 points each. Weirdly, if you have 9 Dark Furies, you can upgrade 2 of those to be Choosers of the Slain for 15 points. So if you have exactly 9 Dark Furies, you can have 3 of them be champions at Weapon Skill 5, which is kind of cool. And they can all have Melta Bombs for 10 points per model. So yeah, Precision Strike 6+ means you can kill who you want on a 6, and Sudden Strike 1 for initiative bonus on the charge, Deep Strike, and of course the Legion of Astartes Raven Guard. So, and they're going to get reroll 1s to wound, not that they care because they have 2 Raven Talons with Rending. So a pretty murdery close assault squad. I want to get a unit just to have. But I want it to be 9. A Dark Fury squad that includes 9 Dark Furies. Oh, it has to be 10, sorry. It's 10 Dark Furies, and then 2 more can be Choosers of the Slain. So it's, for every 10 guys, 3 of them can be champions. And then we're into the character stuff, the painting stuff. Again, Black Primer is pretty easy to paint. Right up with the Iron Hands. These are probably and the Iron Warriors is probably the easiest armies to paint because you just black prime them and pick up the details. I will say that the transfers definitely make the rest of it pretty easy, and there is no more iconic armor for the Raven Guard than the Mark 6 armor that comes in that starter set. I was super pumped to get to paint 40 of them to do the core of my Legion. So my Legion is ready to rock and roll. I'm going to paint some support squads up. I do love the attack speeder in these colors too, and I do love the fact that I can make claws on my Contemptors as well. Color section here. I mean, not really colorful with Raven Guard. I'm pumped to paint up one of these new Rhinos. I did up the Raven Guard in the helmet, though, for this champion, and I should probably get myself a Corax, because I do like the miniature quite a bit. There's the Raven Guard's Dark Furies, and there's the Mordathan as well. Already in Mark 6, because, of course, that was their sort of iconic power armor. I don't have a Tartarus squad painted, but I do have one unbuilt, so I should probably paint them as well. And that's it. We are done. That was the final review in Liber Astartes from Warhammer the Horus Heresy. So if you want to play Raven Guard, obviously it's all about sneaky tactics, probably mid to short range shooting, and then sudden and very decisive assaults with lightning claws, probably against infantry. You don't assault vehicles that much. But you will get the jump on people and be frustratingly hard to hit back with all that shrouded in your army, of course, mitigating a lot of the damage. Easy to paint, fun to paint, and my personal favorite legion since I was 17. So big thanks for watching. We'll see you coming up soon for the Liber Hereticus. Till then, I'm Ash. Have a good one. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that video. There are tons of other games already recorded for you to watch. Click over to my channel page if you haven't already, and have a look through the dozens of playlists full of videos. I guarantee you'll discover a game you haven't seen played before. I put out new videos 7 days a week, and every day is themed to a different genre as I continue to explore the wider world of gaming. Of course, none of that's possible without you, the viewer, so click a like and subscribe if you'd like to stay on top of what's happening here daily. My 2 kids and I are massively grateful to be able to have the flexibility of this job so I can always maximize my time with them. If you want to support me continuing to put out this content, it's only possible because of my amazing backers on Patreon who support the studio, equipment, and model cost, as well as being how I make the bulk of my living. You can also help out by buying a t-shirt through Spreadshirt, a measuring gauge or widget from Desperate Designs, or buying one of my games and supplements like Last Days, Gamma Wolves, and Blaster. As a way of showing my appreciation, patrons get early access to new games and supplements that I write throughout the course of the year. Huge thanks for watching, it really does help out, and happy gaming.